sorry about the tone of my voice, it sounds quite down, but that's exactly where I'm at. And I'm just doing my best to distract myself from my problems and make a live stream. My mental health is saying, don't talk about depression, don't talk about anything real, because nobody will watch that. It's probably true. But that's exactly what I'm going to talk about, because I just hate my mental health telling me what to do. I'll try and keep it short and see if we can talk about something else as well. But ultimately I'm going to be talking about the reality of my situation with a down voice, and I'll try and keep it on the level where possible within that and not be down about what I'm talking about. So long and short of it is I've got physical health problems. Lord knows why I haven't been helped by the NHS. And unfortunately, the window for being able to do something really to prevent much distress was a long time ago. And what's happened since is that it kills me that it happened on a mental health ward. That was a mental health ward that taught me what I'm about to tell you, but that just kills me that this is the world. And yeah, I was taught to enter into hysteria as a means to manage the pain. So in other words, the pain that we experience, use it as a form of intoxication to make ourselves high and live life at that level. Doesn't make sense to me, but I've had to apply that logic over since the time in hospital. Essentially I woke up today and the pain reached its limit a long time ago, and it's just entered, it's like a new place where I find myself in, and I'm constantly on that line between the max of my pain and what lies beyond, and I try and keep it in check. So I try and not enter into hysteria where possible. And for the best part of the time, I'm creating this new level of consciousness where I'm expected to live for myself. And in that place, you may feel pain, you may not, but ultimately your body's in pain. And unfortunately, I've been given the tools in this life to be aware of my body and know when things are out of place, when my legs are fucked beyond all recognition and my arm is I'm experiencing real challenging things for a normal mind to experiencing, and that beyond the level of pain nobody documents it. I suppose nobody's as autistic and as anal about their posture as this idiot. Nobody really says what happens beyond that line. But all I will say is it's beyond this reality. The reality we're spoon-fed since we were children is real. something else takes place. That's all I'll say. And in that place of something else, what we learnt before as real and reality, how to walk, which way is up and down, believe it or not, the fucking forces of gravity don't really apply, or at least they can just go off and do something else. And in the moment, you've got to reconstitute being on a different planet all of a sudden in terms of the gravitational force upon your body in an instant. So it's a little bit of a challenge. And this morning I woke up and I was somewhere beyond that, and honestly I couldn't really feel the pain. I wasn't tuning in and with a precise awareness like you've just cut yourself. That message goes to your brain, oh, my finger's cut. All I had was an awareness that the left side of my body, especially my hip, weren't working. And my eyes, as a result of the pressure from the pain in my body, presumably, were bright-eyed because there's a lot of pressure on them. When there's a lot of pressure on them, the pupils open and the pupils see. So everything looked lovely. But in that mode, I know it from the past. And unfortunately, what happened was that wouldn't have been a problem. But the third catalyst was, from the pressure came a natural rage. And that was it for me. My eyes, the rage, my left hip, my body being fucked was too much. I could have likely handled 2 of the 3. But life was adamant, no, Andreas, you've got to handle all 3. Right now, I'm aware my body is under immense pressure, and I'm aware the likelihood is if that pressure was to manifest, it would form as rage. It has done so every single time for about the past 2 years, and I wasn't really observant that much before. And I'm there, and I'm aware I could explode at any moment. But ultimately, I've been screaming all day. I'm in a place now where the exertion of energy has dispelled some of that pressure. The emotions of how depressing the situation is has somewhat cooled the fires of the rage. It leaves me in a place where I can hobble out of bed, make a live stream, and tidy up stuff that should have been done yesterday. Really important stuff to tidy away. Unfortunately, the crisis line for mental health disorders, there's 2 ways you can really handle a tough situation. One is compassion. One is applying some form of mental I don't know, CBT type of therapy on the individual, and that's what I seem to get all the time. But from my perspective, what that seems like is I'm calling up and on a serious level, and I'm asking for help. The crisis line have let me down time after time after time. But yeah, each time it gets worse, I get broken and I have to call. And it's like I'm speaking a different language to the person at times. When all I need in the first instance, when I'm in that distress, is to know I'm on the same fucking level as the person on the end of the fucking crisis line, instead of making me feel like I'm on a different planet. And I'm trying to speak to them, I'm trying to express what's going on for me. I'm not doing it very well because I'm in absolute rage and I'm screaming. And the lady on the other end calls back and she says, we're going to get a doctor for you to come round and see you. So I try and inquire, what type of doctor for my mind. I appreciate I'm calling the mental health crisis line. But it's my physical body that's beyond its fucking limit and ultimately making my life a living hell. I have a mental health disorder. My mental health has changed. It constantly expands, it constantly gets worse, but I know how to handle it to a greater or lesser extent. It gets to me at times. It makes my life a living hell pretty much all the time, but I can accept it at a certain level and live. And every so often, it gets really too much for me. That's my mental health at the moment. Has been pretty much like that for the past 2-3 years. And I just can't look at it as a problem because I can only do what I can do. And unfortunately, my mental health gets aggravated and my physical body's in pain and distress beyond its limits and I'm unable to do a thing. And it can sound like I've got a serious mental health disorder all the time. That's, he's just in his head, there's something wrong with his head. And I tried to inquire to the lady, is it a doctor of medicine for the body or is it a doctor of mind? Medicine still. And she tried to play dumb. We don't know which doctor's going to come and see you. So I sucked it up. I had to suck it up in that moment. And sorry if you can't hear me beyond my screams. I appreciate I'm screaming and it's hard to hear what I'm trying to say, but what type of doctor? A doctor for the body or a doctor for the mind? And she hung up. She said she was going to call back, I think. I haven't seen a missed call. But this is the fucking mental health crisis line. People that are suicidal, call them. If you're a bit accustomed to how people treat you and speak to you on the mental health crisis line, it's just like, what's the point? If anyone's ever fucking suicidal, you're just going to push them over the edge. Well, that's my general viewpoint of the crisis line, so hopefully it's personal to me and nobody else has to experience this. Whatever it is that goes on every time I try to call. And that's it. That's my day. That's everything. That's as best as I could do to keep it fact-based, given the rage and depression are untold at the moment. But it's also the solstice, and when I took my training a long time ago with teachers that practiced the following of the solstice as a part of their spiritual practice, and I was taken in by it, and I still respect that. The way the fire burns on that day is an assessment of the year to come. The fire has barely been able to light at times. No matter how many times I try and put kindling on and relight it, put white spirit on it, it seems to go out. Today it was a furnace. What are we doing, man? I can only see little bits of society, and specifically the people within it, and how they operate and behave. How they're quiet about certain things that take place on a daily basis, and how people structure their lives and minds. It just doesn't make sense from this person, from this life. Then again, I don't have the whole picture. So all I can really do is push the message out there that something is really fucked in terms of its effect upon me and my life in this world. I'm sure if you're a person and you've lived, you're aware on your own personal level of similar pressures and forces, I don't know how to describe them, insanities. I'm saying on my personal level, trying to be observant, there is something seriously fucked up. And I don't know what to do, you know? So what? I tell YouTube, Facebook, what are we going to do? All I know is, from my perspective, Christmas shopping and using disposable incomes to sedate ourselves to the misery that's enforced upon us, it's just going to do one thing, and that's going to allow it to continue.